So, smoker on the go. I'll do a video on how to light a smoker, all the various ways and fuels and things that I use. Smoker's on the go, that's the main thing. I do find it helps if you're going to go and see some females, then some nice sweet treats help. So we've got some of those there, all served up on a plate. I've got some Wellingtons here, because I doesn't want any bees to go down my trousers. You know what I'm saying? If you're from Scotland, that is. But we're not from Scotland here, we're down south. So we don't speak like that down here, unless you're from Norfolk, of course, and then you go up the city on a Tuesday, boy. You got the whole of that in there, have you? Oh, nearly went over then. But we're sort of in the centre of England, so it's a bit of mixture of everything. Yeah. So, as you can see, if you put Wellingtons on, he says, right, Wellytones, it means that this bit here, I mean, there aren't many bees around at this time of year, but it just stops them falling into your trousers, or onto your trousers, or your trousers if you're from Scotland. Well, that maybe have been Geordie accent there, I don't know. Anyway, so I'm going to trundle down, put this food down, and then come back to the smoker and see how we get on from there. There's a few other bits and pieces that I need. So yeah, somebody left the gate open over the winter. Just a bar there now. So we'll just drop this down here for a minute. This is the most nerve-wracking time of year for beekeeping. Apart from doing an introduction video, of course, it's the opening them and seeing if there's any life at all in the colonies that you spent hours and hours looking after last year. So you'll see in the summer that I do this check anyway, so I'm going to do it in the winter. It's the something or other of January, I can't even remember the date at the moment, and that's, thankfully there is some activity there. Bee just gone in there, which is a joy, because there was no activity on the introduction video there. I thought they'd gone, and they've definitely gone. There's the smaller baby colony thing in there. They got completely hammered by wasps. There you can see a dead bee at the entrance, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything, and we'll find out in a minute when we go in there. This colony, woohoo! A couple of bees there trundling around in the sunshine, so yep, that's another alive one. And there you go, you just saw a flying bee come in there. Look, they're right at the entrance, so they look very healthy, which is absolutely fantastic. These were a queen that I bought in, and you can see that in the queen installation videos that I've done. I can see a bee flying around me above my head at the moment. She's just, there she goes. Oh, missed her. So that one's alive. So we've got 1, 2, possibly 3, no, and definitely 4. So we might have 3, might have 4. We'll see when we open this one up. It'd be a shame if they'd gone. That was a nice colony last year. So I'm just going to put my phone down and go and get everything else. Look, there's a bee coming out now. So they're coming out to play. It's around 8 degrees today, and I think it's the 30th. Yes, it is. It's the 30th of January. 8.5 degrees, sort of 2 o'clock in the afternoon, something like that. So when I say 8.5 degrees, everything that I talk about in degrees is going to be Celsius. In America, it's all Fahrenheit. If you say it goes down to naught, they think you're minus 480 kelvins or something. But in the UK, we do everything in centigrade most of the time. Most people know that 70 is 20, but yeah. So in the UK, everything that I mention in degrees will be in centigrade. Okay, I'll just shut this video down and then start again when I've got my kit down here. So I prefer to work from the furthest point backwards, because if you disturb the colony, you don't really want to be walking in front of all the colonies that you've opened and then work all the way back again. It's bonkers really, in my view, hence the the site. I prefer to open the furthest one away and then work your way back like that, and then you can just, they'll settle down all the way as you come here, and then you finish with this colony and go out through the gate and back up to the entrance to the field. That's my preferred way of doing it. You can do it whichever way you want really, but you know, I'll just logic and habit really, I suppose. So I'm all set up here. My smoker's still going, which is handy. This is called a J tool. I'm not going to bother you too much. Oh, that's L. Oh yeah, J. So I'm not going to bother you too much with tools and, you know, hive equipment and this, that and the other. I mean, really make your own mind up. These are quite handy because this one, you know, you can scrape with it and lever with it, and this one, if you can hook it, I'll show you can hook it under the frames. I'm not going to bore you with too much detail at this time of year with equipment and this, that and the other. We can go through that bit by bit, because I'm really just nipping in here to have a quick look, see what's going on, and then go home. And so yeah, I'll start on this colony. If you can hold on 2 seconds, I'll just put this in the frame, he says. I might have to stop and do this. Yeah, I'm going to stop and put this in the frame and then carry on. So, not only a new, you may be a newbie, I'm certainly a newbie when it comes to the filming side of things. I thought it'd be easier than it was, but when you've got to do jobs in beekeeping with 2 hands, yeah, I hadn't realised quite how much faffing, because you just get on with it and do it anyway. But anyway, we'll see how we carry on and you'll get an idea of what's going on. This is my preferred way of doing things. I like to put a little bit of smoke just at the back. You can put some mid-season, you can put a little bit at the entrance just to warn the guard bees something's going on, but I prefer just to put the tiniest bit of smoke in just to let them know something's happening. Right, they're out of grub. You can see here that there's quite a bit of condensation and mould build up, but in the middle here it's quite clean. So yeah, it's not bad, but it's not favourite. And last year I had a ventilation hole right in the middle here, tiny little bit, just to let the air move up into a space above, and I think I might do that again at the end of this year, because certainly there was a lot less mould last year. And I'm not going to go into too much about food, etc, etc, but this is a sugar fondant mix with this is a sugar fondant mix, and it has 3% protein in it, or pollen, but the rest of it basically sugar, and it's got a bit of ash and whatnot. And they do chomp on it well, they do like it. But I did buy another brand, and I looked at the ingredients, it said albumin. Look up albumin and think to yourself for a minute, I wonder if a bee would find that in nature. Probably not. They did scoff it and it was good stuff, but I just prefer to try and keep it as natural as possible, just so that the people in the health food shops know that I've done as best I can to keep things as it would be found in nature. And not everything's perfect. You'll get to hear my views on that later in the year. This is just, oh, I gave the brand name away there. It's just a washing up liquid bottle cleaned out with some sugar syrup in it that I buy in already made. Sometimes it helps if they're a little bit angsty, and it helps keep them on the frame in the right place. So just take this off, which allows them to get access to the food. So that one has sugar in it. This brand here, this is more of a protein. I think it's brewer's yeast, I'm not sure. Mainly it has an absolutely gorgeous smell, you almost want to eat it, and they do go for that. So I'm just going to give them a little bit of each sort, and that's going to do it. Clearly I'm not going to entertain looking through the colony at all. If they've got some brood on the go, which they might have, you certainly don't want to be lifting it out into this cold air at say 8 or 9, maybe 8 to 9 degrees centigrade. You just do not want to lift that up into the air. You will kill it instantly. And this is the lifeblood of this colony now, is getting some new bees, new growth, and something for them to do, because as the daylight hours increase, then they will they'll get more and more anxious to start getting on with things. And if you listen to very experienced beekeepers, and I'll name some soon, the better ones that I've found on the internet, there's about 4 I think, and they say, and it's widely accepted now, that the year for the bees starts on December the 21st at the winter equinox. That tells them that it's time to start laying and time to start getting on with things. And in the summer equinox on the 21st of June, that is the time for them to start shutting down for the winter. So we revolve our calendar around that fact. So if you can get your bees past the 21st of December, you've done well. This is the time of year when they die. A lot of them die from end of January through February to March. They just fall over for some reason. Nobody knows why, but it's the danger zone. You get to the end of February and you're still feeding, you'll find that some of the bees that are being laid, or the eggs that are being laid now, you'll find that some of those will be coming to become actual bees, and the colony will generate itself. It's just whether this lot that were probably born in late October, November time, they will be at their last knockings. They haven't done any flying, but there's a limit to how long they can keep going given the weather conditions, etc, etc. So I'll lock this hive up and we'll move on to the next one. I'll show you this because it's definitely dead. Right, here we go. Seconds away, round 2. Probably not going to be a lot to see here. I'm just going to open this up and confirm my suspicions, and we'll have a chat about what we find. Shall I put some smoke in? No. not really necessary. So, ironically, this is the colony that should have survived, and that was the daughter, so she should have failed, but it's the other way round for some peculiar reason. So yeah. This is the box, and here's the food that I gave them last November time, or end of October, November time. You can see probably not a lot wrong with that, but I'm not going to risk it. So that frame is probably usable. You can see that the actual comb is of usable standard. They will, typical, a helicopter goes past just when you don't need it. There's another useful frame. They will make use of this comb. It's stored honey. There's nothing in there. They just got completely decimated by wasps. It's such a shame, but it's nature, I'm afraid. There's another one, and that's a brood frame. And you can say that will make good brood frame for a strong colony in the middle of summer or sort of late April, May. You know, they'll use that, they'll make use of that. Right, so here are the last of the bees, look, bless them. They got completely hammered into a tiny little bundle. Probably the queen was in there somewhere. She's not on the frame. There's brood that didn't hatch because it just got too cold. And yeah. Here we go. There's the queen. So there is the queen. You can just see her there with the red dot on her back. Look, they all bundled up and tried to save her. I'll come around to the other side of the camera so I can check you can see that. Yeah. So you can just see there the red dot. So you can see tiny little, they didn't stand a hope in hell's chance of getting through the winter because there's just too few bees. And that's what they do. They all crowd round the queen trying to save her. And then the wasps came in and nicked everything else. Lucky it was wasps and not Asian hornets. But you can see there's not too much mould in here. It was a vain attempt to help them and it didn't work, but it's not surprising it didn't work. Once they've been attacked, they've had it. So we'll put this back together and I'll take it home and try and clean the worst of the frames up, get them clean as I can. See, good for scraping. Yeah, I'll get it as clean as I can and then we'll reuse some of those, and others will just have to put them into the melter, which I'll show you how that works as well. I wasn't having a toilet break then, I was just getting rid of this. So we'll move on to the next colony and see how we get on in there. Ooh. Nearly lost you all then. You're going to play ball? Maybe not. That'll be alright. still some weight in there, I have to say. Right, let's get some of this junk out of the way. Like I say, I'll go through how the boxes work. You can see the innards. I've got a spare box here now, so I can show the innards of that next time. Like I say, I haven't got time to mess about just at the moment. Just making sure you can see that. Haven't really got time to mess about with these. It's getting late and I want to get in here and see if these are even alive. Tiny little bit of smoke as usual. Wow. Okay. Well, that's a Brucey bonus. Again, that is a tiny, tiny colony. Tiny, 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 tiny. But they're alive. So for their gold star, we'll give them a little bit of dribbly, syrupy honey. Might encourage them to get going a little bit. Take the boredom out of the winter a bit. One of these little protein patties here, and one of these patties here. So that's why they're not flying, because they're such a small cluster. They might, even now, they might not make it. We'll just have to wait and see whether they make it or not. Come on, clear off. They were very quiet and easy to handle bees, so I would be very happy if they survive. Alright, I know I've disturbed you, but clear off. Again, it's nature. There's nothing we can do at this time of year. We're not even into the season when you can steal a brood frame from one colony and put it with the next one and try and boost them a little bit. You just can't even do things like that. It's just in the lap of the gods. Nothing you can do at all. This country is wonderful in weather like this. Shame about the politicians, eh? So, turn you round. Here we go on the next lot. I told you it was going to be a bit of spit and sawdust, didn't I? And I wasn't kidding. So we're still filming this colony. I'll go and get some sugar, hang on. Right, boys and girls, we now have 2 definites. This is probably going to be a small one as well, but this was a large colony. Even though it's in a small box, it was a large colony at the end of the season. So I don't know whether they've eaten through all their food and died right back. Quite know what's going on in here. Tiny bit of smoke. I'll go through why I do tiny bit of smoke. You see these beekeepers going like, yeah, smoke them down, smoke them down. Yeah, I don't do that, and I'll tell you why when I've got more time to go through it, because the weather's better. But there's method in my madness. Right, what have we got in here then? Not bad. Still a tiny colony. Alright, calm down. So, give them a little bit of this. You will see method in the madness of this trick as well when the colonies expand, and there is method in that madness. You'll see why it become apparent. Like a lot of things, I'm not going to bore you with it all now. There's just too much to take in. You just want to see whether the colonies are alive at this time of year. There's only one entrance. Oh no, 2 entrances there. Right girls, come on, you're going to have to crack on with it now. Come on, each one of you is valuable. Yeah, I'm definitely going to put the vents in next year. It's okay, but it's nowhere near as good as it was last year. As in end of 23, beginning of 24. But that is another colony. What is alive? Yeehaw! And I know a lot of people are going to say, what about the gap at the front? Well, hence why there was this thing there and 4 bricks around it. It's not because of the wind, it's because I wanted to squash that gap flat. Now I've broken all my gloves, but I don't care because I've only got 1 colony to do. They'll just have to, or I'll have to risk it, and they'll just have to be pleasant. And what girl's not pleasant when you're giving her free sweet food? He says jokingly. So, last colony. This one had the same thing as the colony before, is that I had to put a lot of stuff down. It's quite a big colony, even at the end of October, beginning of November. So I put a load of those sugar patties down onto the top of this colony, and the board was bowing over like that, so I just ladened it with bricks to try and flatten it down to keep the ceiling. So one of the guard bees has come out to have a look, see what's going on. So we'll just put these carefully on the floor like that. That's that. Lid off. And you can see that it's flat now, so it did make a seal eventually during the winter. So again, tiny bit of smoke. I'll do it here. Normally I'll do it at the back, but that'll do. Give that a little while to percolate. Yeah, good colony. So they've got a little bit left and they are feeding on it, look. So it's probably not worth anything saving in there. Go on, clear off. There's not a lot. I'm going to keep this one though, because there is a fair bit in here. Oh no, there isn't. But anyway, they can have it anyway. So there's that one. Tidy this up again. And of course at this stage we're feeding bees, but we've got no idea whether there's a queen in here or whether it's even worth the money or whatever, but you just have to work on the basis that there is a colony and you're not wasting your money. There's no way of telling otherwise. That can stay there. Because these were so good last year, although I can't see masses of bees in there, it might just be worth giving them one extra, giving one of these to start with. Right, so if they get desperate they can come to the back here and pick up this stuff. Come on you, get out. That's good enough. Right, hey, get off there. It's not quite as bad at this time of year. They do generally keep out of the way of the lid and fastening it down. But in full season, they bleed out of the side there and you quite often squash a few. So it's every trick in the book to try and stop that really, but you can't be too precious about it because there's always one like there, like this lady here, who's just decided she wants to be, come on get out there, you'll just snuff it. They just want to be centre of attention and then they get squashed. Right, that, as they say, is that. Good job done. So we now know that we've got 4 colonies that are alive at the end of January. And depending on the weather, I'll come back in a couple of weeks and see how we're getting on. Hopefully by then they'll be a little bit better, but again, like I keep saying, lap of the gods time now. So, see you next time.